Hey, there we
Pokey
are.
tool. Here we are. Howdy, heidi ho, everybody. Welcome to the Crow's Nest. We're back. Yay! We're back.
Back from
Tuesday.
where?
Back from the dead.
Oh,
Back from oblivion. Back from not broadcasting. Back from ReaperCon. I mean, it's been
yeah.
a week ago
You
and a
left a
couple
week ago.
hours.
You drove
Yeah, a
off
week
into the
ago.
sunset.
And I drove off it on my 12-hour adventure driving home, plus a $220 speeding ticket in some
Where
little
at?
podunk ass, I don't know, some little tiny Texas town.
Ah,
Yeah,
oh well.
90 and a 75.
Colorado boy got
What a
himself a $200 coupon.
yeah. Hey, everybody joining us. Before I forget, Pokey Tools. So for every 5 subs, hey Gene, is a Pokey Tool. Pokey Tool. Every 5 subs, free Pokey Tool. We'll do hashtag free at the end, and we'll go from there. We're gonna do sculpting today. I thought that it might be fun. We haven't done that in a while. Jason's going to teach the moron to sculpt. The moron is me, and we're going to do some kind of texture-ish stuff for basing, like some
Yeah,
rocks and
you had
some
put in a
trees.
request for sculpting specifically with basing in mind.
Yeah. So how can folks um, add to their basing and not just put static grass on it, or hopefully paint the base,
Right.
but how can they add
Well,
a
in your
few kind of
case, I'd suggest availing yourself of a number of fine products available from retailers nationwide.
what does that
Oh,
mean?
you want to make it yourself, is what you're saying.
I want to make it myself. Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to teach me how to do that.
All right. Sounds good.
And since we are the real show that combines gaming and geek culture, more so than that lame ass Thursday show. You know that Disney Plus day that was last week?
Yes.
We signed up for Disney Plus for a month. I have two.
And
I have two movie reviews. Are you ready?
sure.
We watched back to back. We watched the Doctor Strange movie that came out last year or whenever,
The multiverse of
and
madness.
then whatever. Yeah, the dimensions of dumbness. A
Okay.
hint on my review, and then we watched Thor: Love and Thunder. First of
Uh
all,
huh.
the Doctor Strange movie. If you haven't seen it, skip it. It's stupid. It sucks. I didn't like it at all. It was boring and not well put together. Then we
Oh, there
watched
goes that
Thor.
sponsorship.
Yep, Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm redeeming the sponsorship now. One of the best
Okay.
MCU movies I've ever seen.
Well, that's
Funny,
good.
fantastic, great. Christian Bale as the villain. Oh my lord, so good. And then Chris Hemsworth, whatever. Thor is fantastic. Just super funny, well written, well directed, well edited. It was together and it was fantastic. We really enjoyed it. I want to watch it again. We're just talking about maybe watching it next week when I get back. I got to go on a work trip for a few days. But yeah, that Doctor Strange movie was really disappointing. Because I really really liked the first one. I thought the first one was one of my favorites, and it was really disappointing. So there's my. I wanted to throw in some movie reviews, so we add some different layers to the show.
Well, that was a layer for sure.
Yeah, you don't seem too interested in that. Have you seen either one of
No, no,
those?
it was a good layer. I mean, I
Yeah.
wish I had some hip waders on. It was such a layer.
Oh well, Do you have you seen either one of those movies?
I have not. I have
Oh,
not.
well, it helps if you
I
had seen them to provide a
I'm
review.
I'm intrigued by the Thor one,
Yeah.
the multiverse of madness. I got to look at how they did it, and I thought, well, maybe if I got nothing else to watch.
I don't even know if that's worth it. The nothing else to watch qualification. I'm telling you right now, save your 2+ hours. Yeah.
Gene
Today
asked if
I
that's
learned
the one
not to.
recorded as Pink Eye.
Kirienko said, "Today I learned not to trust Michael's reviews."
Huh?
Oh,
Just today.
yeah, yeah, just
A
today.
little late to the
Well,
party.
Gene, Gene, no,
It's
that's not.
kind of
I don't
funny.
think this is the one where he gets pink eye. Um, yeah. See, other people like it. I'm just saying, you don't have to agree with me.
See, my
I just didn't like it.
my
Didn't
reviews
like
are
it.
flipped. I hated Love and Thunder and liked I liked
Oh, you
you know
did? I
I
thought it was
hated Love
funny.
and
I thought it
Thunder.
was
It was,
spectacular.
but I'm also
Well,
admittedly exhausted with all of the MCU movies at this point. I
yes.
just
Yep.
don't care about them anymore. It's hard for me to keep
Yeah,
up.
I've been actually enjoying the serialized shows a little bit better, the more personal
I,
ones
ooh,
from the
Andor
MCU.
starts like in a couple weeks. That looks
And your
good.
review of that? Are you going to give us your review of that?
Of the trailer? I love the
No.
trailer.
When it's out, are you going to give us a review of that?
Sure, of course.
Okay. Well, we'll promote
Yeah.
it so that people tune in.
Yes, hear my review that you may or may agree with and may disagree with.
All right. Well, let's get sculpting.
Sure. What are we going to sculpt first?
Well, what do you want to sculpt first?
I want to sculpt a stump.
A stump. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty easy. So I've just mixed up some gray putty.
Oh,
Let me
I'm
go ahead and
using the greens, the blue and the yellow stuff that we had mixed up before.
let
So my stuff's going to
me.
be green. Look, I found a thingy. Look at that. Is this
Good job.
perfect or
Wrong
what?
kind of plastic, but that's okay.
Well, I have this too,
Yeah, that's
so I
what
can
you
be like
want.
you. Why do we
Yeah,
want
well,
this instead of this?
it'll stick less to the to this stuff, this polyethylene.
Oh, Aaron Hartwell is on. Award-winning painter Aaron Hartwell is on. Oh, look at this. Hall of Famer Tish is on. Tish is, I'm sure, still sad at the loss of the Queen last week. She's a big Queen fan, not the band, the old lady, the monarch.
Okay. All right. So you got some putty mixed up.
How about that?
All right. So what kind of stump you want to do? Just something sticking up out of the ground, kind of broken on the
Sure.
end.
Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
a rotten stump that maybe has a little bit of a void in it, maybe a little hole, like a knot hole, or where a branch is broken off. Yeah, Tish digs the Queen band too. They're kind of over as well.
You're just full of
too,
reviews today, aren't you?
too soon. Not on Freddie
They're
Mercury. I mean, that was
over
a long
as
time
well,
ago.
he says. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I'm a
So
slow
as usual, we
learner.
have our putty.
Yeah.
I'd go ahead and roll out like a half a. Let's just start with a log.
How big a blob? Ooh, you got a bigger blob than my blob. I need to blob up.
Well, I'm going to try to make it so people can see it, right?
Oh, that's probably well, there's a zoom on the camera.
Okay, well, zoom away then.
I think you're zoomed in more than I am anyways. Boom. Look at
Could
that.
be.
I think we are equal zoom right now. Let me see my hand compared to yours. Mine's maybe a little bigger.
So
That's
something
what she
like
said.
this, because we're going to try to do this fast, you
Uh-huh.
want to make sure that that putty gets kind of stuck onto that plate.
Okay.
Make sure it's on there good so it doesn't pop off on you. Now, if you
All
flex
right.
that plastic, it will pop off.
Okay.
So I just start in with your hand and start getting your basic shape in there.
Oops.
Now, if we really wanted to do this fancy, we could do the
Yeah.
inside first and then cover it with a layer of putty for the bark. We're probably not going to
Oh.
have time to show that today, but that's really how I would probably do it. And I'll show you why maybe with some green putty once we get this part done.
So I feel
So
like I'm
for our
pulling
first
a
step,
clay
let's
pot.
concentrate on that hollow and the texture on the inside of the.
Okay.
So I've done something
My
like
my
this.
my sides are kind of thin.
Uh, it also looks a little upside down to me.
Huh?
You know how a tree is thicker at the bottom and then kind of tapers
Oh
the main
yeah.
trunk?
That's a good. Yeah. Let me redo that. I'm gonna redo it.
So this is more than just texture sculpting. This is actual texturing that we're going to be doing. Or, I mean, more than just texturing. We're going to actually be sculpting here.
Yeah. That's what the
All
episode's
right.
about.
Well, you
Sculpting.
didn't tell me that. You said
Oh.
texturing, so that's what I was doing.
Are you gonna charge more?
Yeah, double.
Okay. Good luck.
Maybe I should charge triple.
Yeah, you should. Why not quadruple while you're at it?
Why not? Inflation, right?
Yeah, that's important. So are we still? What are you doing now? You creating a little
So I've taken a
bed?
clay shaper. I made a little indent in there because
Uh
you said
huh.
you want it like a rotten stump with a hollow in it.
Yeah. And that's the little inside of the tree that's left over.
Yes. So
What's that
instead of
called?
trying to pinch that bark area out, I'm just going to push it out from inside in this
Mm-hmm.
delineation I'm doing with the end of this clay shaper.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives us a little bit to work with.
Now, would you have? Is that? Is your clay air dry, or you have to bake it?
No, this is just the gray component of the. This is just Aves straight. I just didn't have
Okay.
that much green mixed up, so I just grabbed the Aves.
So if
Takes
you if would you have let it harden up a little bit before starting this? Because mine's really soft right now.
uh yeah, you can keep doing stuff to it. I mean,
I like your little rounding technique there. Tell us more about that.
you mean I'm doing right now?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Or
That's you're describing what you're doing to the class.
oh, I'm just rolling it. I'm just rolling it
Okay.
on the outside while you're talking, so I can wait and not talk over you.
Oh, one, two, three. Oh, but it seems like it's very effective. One,
It
two,
is.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, using the handle tools is very often useful as well. And if you notice this one, I uh, rounded over on the end too to give another surface to sculpt with.
Uh,
So we're going to tear up that inside a little bit because I'm assuming you didn't want to look like someone sawed it.
yeah, like it kind of rotted
You
away
want
on its own.
rotted
No
away. Okay.
human interaction.
So then you want to think about a couple different levels.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay. Try to build in a few peaks in there where it's broken. None of this is particularly crucial at this point. You're going to be pushing it around quite a bit. But what you're trying to do here is just establish some volumes on the inside
uh-huh.
so that you can continue to work up.
Different layers of rot.
Yeah. Now, as long as your putty is still a little bit, if your putty's still a little bit uh, malleable,
You're off camera.
all right, you can grab just a texturing
Oh.
tool of some kind and add some texture to the inside of where the bark's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to use lines for purposes of speed. So this kind of plays into some of those new Reaper super things that they put out at ReaperCon
Super washes.
because you're going to be making a lot of texture here that you could use to hold some of that wash.
Yeah, and as long as you don't ruin it with Minwax afterwards.
Well, I thought we were going to get almost through a whole episode without talking about Minwax, but I guess
I didn't
that's
realize that was a goal, but I think
just a
even if I
pipe
knew that,
dream.
I would fail.
All right, so now I'm kind of going through and
You're a
making
little
some
off
chippy
camera.
areas.
You're maybe a little more in the middle. There you go. Hey, Justin, can you do Jason full screen?
Let's see here. Yes, I can.
Oh, I haven't been done full screen in a long time.
I know. It's a little scary. Can we see the side that you're working on? The outside? That's cool. What's that? Is that like a crack that you're starting?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Okay.
imagining some cracks in the bark, right?
Uh-huh. I'm going to imagine some cracks in the bark too. It's like my clay
Now,
pot wants to collapse.
well, maybe the walls are a little too thin.
Yeah.
But now remember, we're just delineating grossly some of the features. One of the
Mm-hmm.
benefits behind using a crisper putty like this is when it hardens, we can go back and do other techniques where we scratch into it.
Oh, so maybe milliput would be good too.
Milliput would be good, but Aves works similarly to Milliput
Okay.
in my estimation. I personally I don't care for Milliput. I find it a little irritating to my skin and a little bit
Oh, very.
seemingly toxic. So
Yeah, it can be. You don't want to touch your face or your eyes if you're
the
using
nice thing
it.
about Milliput is it does have uh, metallic powder in it. So when it sets
Hmm.
up, it is super hard.
It's super. Yeah,
This
and you can.
this AIDS
I
is a
think.
polyester putty, and it sets up hard enough to do most carving and scratching, but it is not structurally hard like for repairs. Where milliput you can actually use for repairs.
You're off camera a bit. You're still off camera a bit.
Yeah, I have to look at it sometimes. So basically, a lot of just repetitive. And don't worry if you're deforming it a little bit because you can go back and clean up that deformation. It's very
Mm-hmm.
important, as a matter of fact, to go ahead and try to get the texture that you're concerned about first because you still have some time with the putty to pull it back into shape if it gets knocked out of shape, right? Like I'm thinking
On the
about those
outside
walls
as
we were
well.
talking about.
Are you doing texture on the outside as well?
I'm not doing as much on the outside, but I am delineating the larger cracks.
Okay.
What I think I'm going to do after we're done with the inside is come back over and show you a little technique with the green putty on the outside to make it really look like bark.
Okay.
But I want to get some of these cracks in because some of this gray putty is still going to be showing. Now, again, with the crisper putty, we'll let this set up and then we can come back, with a Dremel tool or with even with a little knife, and we can chop up these edges a little bit more, right?
Okay.
There's a difference between a tool mark left on a piece of something that's hard as a scratch or a chip. There's a difference between that kind of mark and the mark you can make in a soft material like it is now. So you kind of want to anticipate that because you can do a lot, and especially with the stuff you're talking about with bases for rocks and trees and that sort of thing, there's an awful lot you can do once a putty is set up with knives and sandpaper
Hmm.
and carving more than sculpting.
Yeah, you're a little off camera.
Okay, I was just looking over it. On this kind of show, it's a little difficult to watch a chat. So
Yeah, I got that too. Yeah, just Gene says milliput is toxic. He says millitur is toxic, and then he corrects it to milliput. Of course, green users says green is better. I've used milliput more in the past when I'm making my bases because I can chip it and sand it and carve it a little bit better. And
well,
it's probably user error.
now that you've got the Aves,
Uh huh.
it's actually cheaper by a long way than milliput.
That's true.
It doesn't heat up as
Milliput is
much.
not
It's
cheap.
not near as irritating to most people. It can still be irritating. I suggest when you first start to use this kind of stuff,
Uh huh.
uh, you could always use rubber gloves. That's always a good thing, or nitrile gloves.
Yeah.
But the other thing would be if you do it barehanded, make sure, and if you do have a rash afterwards or something, then make sure and wear your gloves afterwards. And
Yeah.
always wash your hands real good afterwards. I use that old Baraxo standby to really scrub them down when I'm done
Uh,
working with this kind of putty.
what do you think of this?
Looking pretty good.
Let me see. It's kind of there. Hey, so
Yeah.
I've already started the texture of the wood. Maybe you're going to go there and we can wait if you are. But when I've done wood texture, it always, for me, it feels like it looks like hair. Does that make
The
sense?
texture does that you produce, or you feel like
Yeah, the
bark looks
texture.
like hair?
Yeah, the texture that I produce looks like
Okay.
hair.
Well, a lot of times when we're doing hair, we're not pulling up peaks. We're mostly doing valleys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with bark, there's valleys, but there's an awful lot of peaks in it.
Oh,
So
okay.
the most of the scratching lines I'm doing now are cracks, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not intended to be the bark texture,
Mm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'll do the bark texture in a little bit once this is a little bit more set up. But see, then you go back, make sure it's still in line. Um, Remember what I told you about always keep your hands moving so that you don't get the fingerprints. And your fingerprints actually will help smooth the putty,
I think I'm
but
gonna build
you
up my
have to
back
keep it in
wall.
motion. What's
My
that?
back wall is a little too thin.
Okay.
I have to do some wood
Um,
patching here.
you know what I would do at this point
Mm-hmm.
if this was going to be a finished piece, I would pull it into shape, make sure the shape is correct, leave the
Mm-hmm.
thinness there and let it set up, and then add some more putty to the inside or the outside once it's set
Ah,
up some. That
okay.
way you don't deform it further.
Well, I
But
already stuck
again,
some stuff
because
on.
we're trying to do this in a show, we don't have the luxury of time. So we're kind of using some fast techniques here. So I'm going to then take the thing you have to remember is even if a tree breaks, it still has some growth rings in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to lose sight of that structure even when you're trying to mimic the break. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I usually try to put a little indication of the ring texture in there so that when you paint it up, there'll still be some of the texture showing of the growth rings, even though we're probably going to go back and destroy a lot of it because we're going to pull some of it up and push some of it down. So when you're pushing down, you notice that the putty is going to follow your tool and
Mm-hmm.
start to fold in on itself.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes
That's happening to me.
a curved valley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you want to make sure and then come back in with the tool and pull it back up on those edges.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go ahead. We've talked before about tweezers, and I really do like tweezers. And the older I get, or the more work I've done, and the stiffer my hands are, sometimes it's nice to have a good pair of curved tweezers to also enable your ability to pull some of these pieces up. So I'm imagining this as it fractures,
Uh-huh.
it's still going to kind of fracture in some rings. So that will always be present. don't be afraid at any point to just let this sit
Mm-hmm.
and then come back and refine it further as the putty gets harder. And then again, you can add putty to get even more texture on it. And then your final step would be to get a scribe or a knife and start scratching away and chipping away. I don't know. Can you see?
Oh, yeah.
See how that's starting to look?
Uh-huh. That's cool. That's super cool. This is very informative.
Well, one of the things that sculptors like to say that's absolutely true is in order to sculpt, you have to learn how to look first.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you have a chance and you're out in the woods, especially if you're doing basing, I know you spend a lot of time out wandering and riding your bike and picking up stuff for basing materials and all that. And I'm sure that you spend some time and observe how things break, observe all the textures that you can see, and try to commit those to memory.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Because it really is what you're sculpting is what is, not what's in your head, but you're trying to sculpt the way it actually is. And in your head, I mean, how many people, when they were a kid, always colored the trunks of trees brown?
Right.
And how many actual trunks do you see that are brown? You hardly see any brown trunks.
Now we talk
But
about that
that's
a
a
lot in painting
yeah,
classes is, a tree isn't brown and a rock isn't gray. There's may be
right,
those colors in them, but don't forget your other colors.
right. And we fall into that shorthand because everybody kind of recognizes it. But what will put your sculpting work above the shorthand step is to actually make it mimic the way it is, not the way it is in your head, but the
Mm-hmm.
way it is in nature.
Yes. And Carrie Michael Cosby, who is a gold winning Sophie Trophy, gold winning medalist and Sophie Trophy. And she did some great mouseling conversions and dioramas. At ReaperCon says reference photos. And I totally agree. I mean, that's something that
Reference photos
I
are
was thinking
great.
while you were talking. It's like maybe we should have had some reference photos. Um,
Yeah, I almost grabbed a few for rocks, but then you went with trees, so
yeah, well, I threw a curve at you at the end.
that's all right. Reference photos are fantastic. The better contrast, the better.
Yeah,
But also in-person observation, when you see like bark, run your hands over the bark.
yeah.
Get a good idea for that texture or various textures. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different bark textures. So now I'm kind of trying to tease out. They're not individual fibers, but individual broken columns. Don't know how successful I'll be.
The root ball. No, I see what you're doing. I like the two. I like the layer. That's not. I don't have the different heights inside of my stump right now.
Now, if I was to do, well, I could maybe even. Now would be a time if you wanted to define. A lot of times when there's a hole,
Yeah,
it's either broken. The trunk is broken and creates a hole, or there used to be a root or a limb there that has rotted and fallen out.
yeah, totally.
So the rounder the hole, the more likely there was a root or a branch connected there. So in this case, I'm just going to use a little wire loop and pull a little bit out. I just decided it'd look kind of cool if we had a little hole there. I know
Let's
you
show
like
that.
to,
Can I see that? Oh, at the bottom.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
Well, I know that you like to hide little animals and things
I do. Don't give away all
in
my
your
secrets.
bases,
Yeah.
so you got to have somewhere for them to live, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So with my putty, I'm getting about to the end of the useful phase. I can feel it starting to get stiff here. And the
Yeah.
Aves, once it starts down that path, it goes pretty quick. So I'm trying not to, I'm trying to get as much as I can out of there before I really have to start pushing.
Push it real good.
So I may come back and decide to do more on that interior with a different putty. Um,
What do you think of mine? Let me see. Let me get it on camera.
Hang on, let me get my glasses off. Turn it outside. Oh, it is outside. No, it's not. That looks really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Thanks. It's a little
Yeah.
squashed. I think I'd like to make it the one end a little taller. I like the height that you have on yours. That's cool.
So this tool I'm using right now is a Julie Guthrie tool that I had to put a brass
Do you
handle
see
on.
this? This is a magic Julie Guthrie tool as well. I got my
Yep.
own Julie Guthrie tool right there. Look at that. It's magic. But I have, where's my favorite? Here's my Gene Van Horn tool. One of them. This is what I use the most. And Jason gave me this tool.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to make a
for making
hole.
dots.
Show us the what you're doing with your hole.
So
Ah, look at
just
that.
doing that,
That's
and then I'll
cool.
probably some point run just a little to emphasize it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe I still got enough life left in the putty here. Just kind of emphasize that rim just a little.
So the Aves cures faster even than green stuff?
Um, it doesn't necessarily overall the time is about the same, but
Uh-huh.
there's a point at which Ave starts to accelerate the cure toward
Okay.
the end, and green putty in itself doesn't like gain momentum as fast as the hardening of the Aves.
Gain momentum. What does that mean? Heat up and
Well,
dry
like one
faster?
minute it'll be usable, and the next minute it'll be done.
Okay.
The green putty seems a little bit more linear, even though there is a definite point at which you know it's done.
I notice with the green stuff, as it gets closer and closer, it tears more. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yes, there's as we've talked about, there's operations that you should save to do when the putty is like leather hard
Yeah.
because they'll be more successful, making sharper edges and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And then there's operations that work better when it's completely fresh. Now, if you're working for production work, a lot of times you learn how to do some of those other techniques all the way through the cure cycle because you're trying to get stuff done.
Hmm.
But ideally, you pay attention to the cure cycle and use it to your best advantage. So I'm thinking that maybe our next couple sculpting shows could be this type of
I
thing
like
because
this.
there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can talk about for basing
And
and
see, you
different
didn't even want to
texture
do this
techniques.
today. I had to talk you into this.
You did.
Yeah. You were like dead set against it. You just wanted to
I
talk about
was.
movies.
I'm I'm in the middle of two digital sculpts for Reaper, and I was excited to get those going. So
Ooh, you gave me a tease peek on one.
yeah, I'm
Maybe
hoping
some
that
sort
makes
of
it.
holiday related goodness. That's all I'll
Yes,
say. It
both
was
these pieces are holiday related.
it's cool. Maybe we'll show them off next week.
Yeah, if I can get some permission and approval and all that,
Or we'll
because you
just
hate to
ask for
show something
forgiveness
and then have it
afterwards.
yanked. You don't want to do that.
Well, it's not like that other show shows off stuff that never actually makes it into production.
Well, but we want to have a higher standard than that, right?
Yes, but at the same time, it's not hard.
Well, we didn't want to do anything too hard, right?
Yes,
Nevertheless, we
Pirate
said we
Day.
didn't do the least we could.
Yes, yeah, exactly right, Pendrake. It's Pirate Day that he's working on. What day is Pirate Day again? I forget.
I don't know. I'm not working on Pirate Day, I don't think.
No, I like the tweezer idea.
Tweezers are immensely helpful.
Yeah, it's not
And I
necessarily
like
a
the
sculpting.
are those curved ones? Those are still my favorite.
Yeah,
You
right
find
here. These guys.
a good set of curved
Well,
what are
these are
you
the ones
using?
you sent me. I
Yeah,
think.
and there's a lot of spring to them, right?
I know because you
Sometimes
you
you
brought
buy
them
them and
back
they're not
directly.
very much spring, but you want that springiness in there.
Yeah, you brought them back from Pakistan on your last
Yeah,
trip.
I buy those at swap meets and gun shows. There's usually a couple guys that have buckets of dental tools from Pakistan.
Why did they come from Pakistan?
They like to work metal over there, and they're very good at it. And
No.
they tend to make a lot of that kind of stuff. I suspect a lot of the stuff in the bins is seconds, but for sculpting
Mm-hmm.
tools, it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not so much for orthodonture, but
I had, and I can't find them. I have and one of my old dental hygienists gave me his old tools once.
yep, those are good. If you are unfortunate enough to have a root canal sometime,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get a hold of the set of files that they usually throw them away. But those
Oh,
little round root canal files are pretty tremendous.
start eating candy, everybody. Ruin your teeth. Hey
So
Justin,
now
have we
what?
got any subs yet?
No.
Justin, he's probably doing his taxes or something.
Can you not hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I could hear you now.
Oh, okay. No, we haven't gotten any subs.
No.
I suspect it's a correlation between that and that Michael Proctor guy being on the screen. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm kind of digging my stump.
Oh, that's a stump?
That's that's a stump.
Oh, I thought it was chewed bubblegum.
Well, it's close to that too. It's in between.
Ah, okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? You
It's
live your
kind of
truth, Michael. You live your truth.
I live my truth. I like that. Hey, and I was really hoping to make fun of the Cowboys, but the Broncos last night won't let me. So that was
That's
just
funny.
disappointing and
It
heartbreaking.
was. It was. Yeah. I only caught a snippet of it, but
Yeah,
you know,
that's
I didn't mind it
that
the
they.
Seahawks
I think
won,
they
but
need an extra preseason game. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't know you actually watched football. I assumed that was all
No, I
Jason.
do. Jason does too.
No, I know
there's a
Jason does.
local boy, local guy my daughter graduated with is actually one of their backup quarterbacks at Denver, Brett Rippon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he made the team again this year. There was some questions on it, but
Yep.
he went out.
Well, he was very good in high school, which of
And
course
so
is no
and
guarantee.
no, and isn't he like related to
He's a
that
nephew of Mark Rippon.
Mark Rippon of the Redskins or whatever
Yep.
they are now?
Yep.
The
What
Commanders,
are
I
they?
think
The
that's really
Commanders?
weird to
No.
see. They're
Yeah, it's hard.
it is because when I see them, you know what my immediate impression is actually that they look like a if you've ever played in the Madden video game, they look
Oh
like one of
yeah,
the randomized, customized franchises on that that used to play back in like the 2000s.
yeah.
Like they don't look like a real team.
Like they kind of look like a USFL team
Yeah, correct. They look like
or like a
an
team that was
expansion
like
team.
made up in the movies.
Correct. It does. Yeah. Commanders is
So
the name of the team that Keanu Reeves was running in the replacements.
Oh well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
No, something like that.
All
there's a
right.
funny story about that too. When they became the Commanders, they actually had to pay the local roller derby team that was called the
Oh really?
Commanders. Yep.
I don't,
It was a
yeah.
whole thing for a while. But they did the right thing, made it good. So
All that being said,
Yeah.
at least they won their opener. So
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
yeah, can't say much.
so now that the putty's a little stiffer, I'm able to put a little bit more detail right at the tops to give it more of a freshly broken look. Now wood doesn't really uh, soften its angles unless there's some natural abrasion going on. So broken wood is very rarely smooth.
Uh-huh.
It almost always has jaggedy edges in some way.
So that's been, some of my thing with using green stuff is it rounds. Does that make sense? So as it dries, it.
Yep. Well, you do have to go back. We talked about the cure cycle. And as
Mm-hmm.
the cure cycle goes through, you have to go back and continually keep pulling up where it's slumped a little bit,
Add and keep
right? So you want to
drawing
sharpen
lines
up
and
all your
making.
edges
Yeah.
and all of that. Now, a lot of this is going to depend always on the paint job. So, especially if you're doing something for a base for yourself, you want to make it as easy as you can on yourself. So, if you're the kind of painter that likes to use a lot of washes and some dry brush to achieve their effects, make sure you get lots of texture in there. If you're someone that likes to do more freehand and uh, more shading type finishes, then you don't need to build in as much texture because you're going to paint it. But I'm a texture guy. I like to even when I'm painting something, I like to have that texture there to go by.
And there's certain things we can do sculpting green stuff and use them directly on our bases that really couldn't be cast and reproduced well. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's the that's one of the main reasons for using green stuff in our hobby. If you're not sculpting something from scratch, is to make something that couldn't possibly have come off the production line. There's stuff you can do that you can't even print very easily.
Does that in your digital sculpting, do you ever regret that? Yeah. Does it like you feel like you're missing an opportunity because digital's not really there yet in some textures, or no?
Yeah. Yes, I have yet to master a lot of the stuff. Textures I can do pretty well. I find that I miss green putty a lot when it comes to flowing shapes, hair and capes and that sort of thing. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at Bobby's stuff, he's got it down pretty well.
Yeah, it took
But
him a long time.
Bobby also in the green did that very well. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'll reiterate this. I think when you're sculpting, your tool set is your tool set, but try to get good at every kind of sculpting that you can. Um, Digital sculptors that only do digital miss out on a lot of the physical components of it. And I think it helps. I think you're a better sculptor if you do physical sculpting as well. I know that sounds snobbish, but it's true.
Maybe the next stump we do, if we do something like this again, we could incorporate moss or foliage or
Well,
mushrooms or
we've got
something like
time.
that.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I can.
We're up at near the top of the hour. I want to be sensitive too of Justin's time with his wee baby.
Oh, he's passed out for a nap, so you probably have a few more minutes.
Okay.
Well, in
Hey,
that
so
case,
we
I'm gonna just mix up a little green and show you what I was talking about with the bark. I think I have enough to.
okay. So I have been thinking about our two different stump styles and a good way to describe it. And I am Turjon. I think nailed it. Jason's looks like a regular stump. Jason, show us your regular stump. There is, and side view and all that stuff as well. It says Michael's looks like it's been tortured by every demon in hell.
Yep, Michael's is definitely a chaos stump,
Yeah, I have more of a chaos stump.
which is great. I mean, as long as it makes you happy, that's what we're doing this for, right?
Yeah, that is the goal, is to make me happy. Yes.
Now the difference is that if you start out with a naturalistic looking stump, you can always turn it into a chaos stump.
Yes.
But if you want that chaos stump to turn into a naturalistic looking stump, you're going to have a little more harder of a time.
That just goes for life too. Once you go chaos, you're not really going back.
It's
I
a
think
commitment.
I've lived that life.
You have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put a little bark on here. Um, so I'm imagining this, as I always tell you, we got to imagine what it's going to be like to paint it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just getting some green putty here really quickly. So, have you ever seen a stump where the interior wood is exposed almost all the way around, but there's fragments of bark still clinging to it?
Yeah.
That's very effective, I think, when it comes to painting. So, normally, again, I would have wanted this to set up a little bit more so that I had a little bit more to push against.
Okay.
But rather than trying to sculpt in this bark, we're going to just call the gray part the underneath part.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to just make some spots. Usually there's a little there's parts that are broken off. There's usually more toward the bottom, depending on what has happened to the stump.
I think my
So
stump
can
is a
you see
little.
how?
Go ahead.
Okay, can you see how this is going? It's like there's an
Yeah, yeah,
elevation there
yeah,
with the green putty.
yeah.
So obviously, when you painted it, you would think maybe that's the green will eventually be the bark part, which is going to be darker, and the center part, which will be lighter.
You're a little off
The gray
camera.
part will be lighter. So the idea with the bark is to try to make it look like it flaked off a little bit.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah, we'll have to make some. Maybe next week we can make some leaves and stuff too, like ivy.
Yeah, well, keep your stump.
Keep your stump.
So one of the things that you can do, let's just use the tweezers.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get this on camera. Okay. So I'm going to use the tweezers to actually pull up ridges in the bark.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that. I like that. Where can I do that?
So what you're seeing or what you're thinking of in your head are lines. They're
Mm-hmm.
lines, but to make it really effective, you want to make them dimensional lines so that they actually come out. So there's peaks and valleys.
Okay.
That's not going to work. So I'm thinking back to a bark texture that seems to have a lot of lines, and then where it's raised, it's kind of chibbly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple different elevations even within the raised thing. And the nice thing about Aves with this green and Aves blend is it always is going to stick to each other pretty well.
Hmm.
So now that the gray is a little bit harder, you can go back and add some preliminary scratches just to kind of show the age. Obviously, you want to make most of your scratch strokes with the grain of the wood, but every once in a while, you want to put just a chop where maybe another tree has hit it or an animal has chewed it or something has scratched it. And that
Ooh, that's a good
helps
idea.
show the age, a little bit of weathering. So let's see. Let's see if I can. There, can you see that? How that bark is.
Yeah, a little out of focus.
Well, that's tough, but you can see how the bark is working.
That looks great. That looks great.
And you can take and pull the very edge of that bark off the underlayment.
I liked that little technique with the tweezers on the side, pulling up the ridges of the bark. That was really cool.
Well, that's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah, no, but that was an aha kind of moment for me there. I've just been using the tweezer to pull up the sides, not thinking of making the separations going up on the bark. That is cool.
So I think I'm at the point now where I'm just gonna, I would add more bark along the
Okay.
base, especially, and maybe some along like up here in this corner,
Mm-hmm.
coming down, maybe a little V shape, and do the bark technique on that. So it looks like most of what you're going to see is the gray part, which is the subsurface, the inner or the outer surface of the wood part. And then the bark is going to be clung to it, the last few remaining pieces. And if you really wanted to add realism once it's on your base, you could throw a couple extra pieces of bark around the base that have fallen off the tree as it's rotted.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
So yeah, if you want, we'll keep this tree along with
Yeah,
our squirrel. I think we're getting a theme here.
woodsy.
And then we'll maybe next time we'll add some vines and leaves and mushrooms on there and a little bit more
Yeah.
bark. And
No, that'll be fun. So I think we're good to go for next week too. That's my hopefully nothing
yeah, that's
changes.
no, that's fine. I'll keep everything set up. Because as you know, my studio also doubles as a extra bedroom for when we have company. So every once in a while, I have to fold it all up and put it away.
Oh, you didn't offer that to me when I was there.
I did too. You decided to stay at the hotel because they had better room service. All you get here is popcorn and beer.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Not complaining, but it's no Hyatt, you know.
Yeah, it's true. I'm gonna stay at that one downtown, the old hotel next time.
Oh, the Davenport. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
place. Yeah, my cousins are coming into town this weekend and they'll be staying there.
Oh yeah, it's a neat place. It's just a kind of kicked myself last time I didn't know about it, but you're always learning.
Yeah, it's right down by the satellite, the diner that you like.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I still want a coffee mug from that place.
Yep, I'm working on it.
Oh, I have something for you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to mail it to you,
All right.
unless you want to see it. You
No,
don't
I
have to
can
be a
wait.
surprise. Okay.
I
It's
can
not a
wait.
miniature or anything. It's something I found that I thought I had lost that would fit well with you and your abode. All right. Yeah, my stump is a little demon mangled, but I'm digging it. I think I'd make it a much bigger. I'd start with a bigger block of green stuff next time, so I can have it higher. What do you
Yeah, like I
think?
said, I started out a little big so we could.
Yeah. I do need a demon squirrel to match it. My stump of
Well, I think
craziness.
you're well on the way if I recall your squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which,
Ooh, that's a really big squirrel.
that's a little bit of a
My
demon
demon
squirrel.
squirrel is still a long ways away. It's looking pretty sad at this point. Still really
Yep.
far.
Well, that one I
Trash.
just
Jason's.
that one I did a while
Jason.
ago. And
Yeah.
what's that?
Trash asked, "Why is your stump a different color?" Well, Trash, if you would have tuned in when the show started and participated like the rest of the class, you'd know.
I only have a little bit of my green blend left before I have
Yeah.
to mix up a whole new batch. So I just went with straight Aves putty, AVES, our taxidermy putty that we use mixed with the green. I just went with the straight gray putty because it was just easier in there. There's less flexibility in Aves if you don't have green in there, which for something like wood isn't bad because you're going to come back and scratch it up anyway. So that's kind of what I got in a
Cool.
short amount of time.
You know what? This has been maybe one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, this has been fun. Yeah, I like this. Cool. All right. Well, Justin, look at that. I'm kind of
Yes.
happy with that. Doesn't show off as good. I think his gray stuff shows off better on camera than green stuff does.
Let's see.
So did we get any subs?
We got one.
Can we give away one Poke Tool?
We can give away one Poke Tool.
All right, let's give away. Let me pub the Poke Tool a little bit better than I did to begin with. So this is a Crow's Nest. Crow's Nest exclusive Poke Tool, sculpted by Julie Guthrie. Here's one out of the package, and she did the front, and Bob Rodolfi, her loving husband, did the back, did the lettering. Look at that.
Trash reminds us to wish Justin a happy birthday, which I believe was yesterday.
Oh,
was Justin's birthday.
Was it? Which Justin who?
Me. Hold on, I'm trying
Oh,
to get
you.
the
Director, our
to
producer.
Yeah.
Happy
Our man about
birthday,
town.
dear Justin.
A rapidly
Birthday,
becoming skilled parent.
dear Justin.
Well, that's not the Poke Tool you're giving away.
Birthday. This is a
That's
Poke
gorgeous.
Tool that was in the ReaperCon swag stuff, sculpted by Julie Guthrie, and I'm guessing, because I don't know, and lettered by Bob Rodolfi, the official letterer of the group, but maybe not.
Man,
Did
I could
you
see
know
a lot
that?
of uses for that dragon head.
Did you see the class that they taught at ReaperCon?
I saw the class. I did not take it.
No, I didn't take it either, but they were teaching making Poke Tools like this.
Well, why wouldn't
Really
you take
cool.
that?
What a great idea. I mean, original idea where they thought of a new class idea and executed it and just didn't show up for the Bones Mashup cutting up stuff class and gluing it together.
Hey, you know what? I don't harsh on your classes.
I like yours a lot, man. I like yours a ton. I think I may try to do a bigger one in more of the style of yours as opposed to my demon stump.
Yeah, this is that's about a 25 millimeter base, I think. So that would take up pretty much your whole standard base.
Yeah, it would. But we're into diorama bases, scenes. Let's make a scene.
Okay.
Literally.
I just activated the giveaway, so
all right.
you can now type hashtag free.
Yeah.
Hashtag free.
Hashtag free. Get your hashtag frees in. 1, 2, 3, go.
Also, thank you for the birthday wishes, everybody.
Yeah. Bones Mashup class is probably still one of the best classes at ReaperCon.
Well,
I
it
sang
is
you
a
a
lot of
birthday
fun.
song, Justin.
Say that again, Michael. Sorry.
I sang you a birthday song.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I had that muted because I had a screaming kiddo here. Actually, he woke up right at the same time we were getting the.
Well, you can go back and listen to the VOD.
Screaming
where can you find the
was
VOD?
Probably preferable to hearing Michael sing "Happy Birthday."
Probably.
Probably,
but
marginally, yes.
Yeah. We'll be on VOD on this channel and then probably up on YouTube.
Yes.
In a couple 3 days.
Correct.
Whenever Sidwee puts them up, right?
No, Quindy does, not Sidwee.
Quindy does.
Quindy, yes, correct.
Sorry. I knew it was a we. But yeah, Quindy does, and she'll get it up. There she it's right there, Quindy LaRue. Awesome. YouTube on Thursday. So check it out there. This is a show that you can go back to watch and actually learn things.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else would be charging you for this through Patreon
Right.
or some kind of scheme to get your money. And here we are giving it to you for free just for tuning
I
in.
know. Yeah, we should do our. You know how all those people do their YouTube channels where they show you things and they ask you to be their patron.
Yeah, we should do that.
We should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'd
agree, we
rather
should do
just
that.
give it away.
Yeah. That's so let it dry
Well, so
and
many
come
people,
back
even
and
people in the audience. I mean, Bob and Julie are in the audience. We shared. They shared with me a lot of techniques when I was starting, and it's sort of like you got to pass it on. Then it's looking good.
there's a lot going on there. Maybe too much.
Yeah, yeah. Very Games Workshop-y almost a little bit.
Oh, that's an insult.
Huh.
No, it's not. No, it's the
All right, so
chaos way stuff.
we got a name.
Let's see here. See if I can draw this.
Only the cool kids show up here. Yeah, so far.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
indication. All right, here we go. Ready, Michael, to announce this winner?
yeah.
Here we go.
Haija, Haji. Sounds inappropriate. Haji. Congratulations. My screen's too small. I can't even read it.
Buddy Dear loves your
Closer.
totem poles. Well, thank you.
HAI. Well, you see who you are. You won. Congratulations. You want to help me, Justin?
It's more fun to hail JH.
Hail
Hail.
Hail
JH.
JH.
More fun to listen to you
better.
work your way through.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
Okay. Hail Hydra. All right. Yeah, I won something, and that's what you do. And you mail it. You send it in, and you'll get a Poke Tool. If you're in the U.S., if you're outside of the U.S., you think you get a gift certificate or something, and you can't buy a Poke Tool, so you don't get one.
I think it's there's some more complications to it. I think
Yeah.
depending on where you are, technically we can pallet it over. Technically, when we ship stuff to Kit, so then he can ship it out.
We ship a whole pallet with just a Poke Tool on it.
Just a pallet of Poke Tools for all the giveaways
Yep,
we do
just
here.
just shrink wrap
That's cool.
to a little tongue depressor stick.
Nice. Well, hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. That was a blast. That was a lot of fun. Sorry we haven't been around. With COVID, with babies, with ReaperCon, with vacations. Summer in general.
Michael's rumored to have another job that actually pays him money. So
yeah, it's the only way I could be here.
Oh yeah, I have to go to my job.
I gotta do that this weekend. So hopefully I'm going to be able to make Reaper Errant on Friday.
We're actually
Friday.
not doing Reaper Errant Friday.
Oh, we're not?
We are not. I just discussed it with Frank before. Like, that's one of the things I was doing during the show is ironing out the schedule. And the next episode of Reaper Errant will be September 30th.
Well, there you go. No Reaper Errant on Friday. And the children cry. Because I'm crying.
Well, yeah, me too.
Well, he's got to get all of his stuff back home and get it set up anyway, so.
Yeah.
Which I believe he has to do some test streams with us as well to make sure things function again.
So next episode, September 30th. So we're still on our 2-week thing. We're just taking a week off.
We're skipping. Yeah, we're skipping. Because
then what you have to do is you have to look for the coverage of the in-person episode we did at ReaperCon.
Yeah. I wonder, because it's buried right now in one of the big long VODs. I wonder if it could be separated into its own.
I'll bet you we could cut it out. Somebody could.
Yeah. Well, I bet Quindy could do it.
Technically, YouTube has some editing features that you could do that with, I think, but you can't really cut out. It's more like a cropping type thing.
Ah, well, the producer could do it too
Well,
with the raw
cropping or
footage.
cutting out, what the hell's the difference?
Yeah,
Well,
You
all the
technical
other stuff
guys.
other than that is lost, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't want to watch the other stuff, right? Well,
Is it
can't you
make a
segmented
make a
out?
copy.
copy? Can't you just make a
Yeah.
copy of it
Oh,
in
that's
there?
Well,
true. Actually,
Just
Trash might be right. I think it
yeah,
is
put up a
timestamped. Yeah,
yeah,
it's timestamped.
yeah, yeah. They
yeah,
do that all the time.
yeah.
So,
Stamp that time.
so as long as you can
See,
click a timestamp, then it'll be fine.
there we go. Anyway, look for that
Thank you,
since
Quindy,
we're
for
not
doing
going
the
to be around
timestamps.
on Friday, which means
Don't
Michael
want to
can
be a
spend more
spoiler
time at
on
the
that
craps
episode.
table.
Yeah. Well, I doubt that. I don't like to lose. I'd rather spend my money on miniatures than gambling.
That's fair.
Sure.
All right, well, have fun at the Tori Amos concert, Michael. Wherever you're going.
Yeah,
Nashville.
is who was the chick that sang the Titanic song? Um, the big Titanic song. What was her name? She was Canadian, French
Oh,
Yeah,
Canadian.
Celine Dion.
Yeah,
yeah.
she was in residency. I'm gonna try to check out old
Well,
Celine.
I wasn't going to let everybody know where you were going, unless you really wanted to run in everybody.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, the fans they'll not leave Michael alone. Sure, I'm sure.
Oh
No,
yeah.
they won't.
I'm crushed all the time.
But,
Anyways, well, it's been great. It's been awesome. It was a lot of fun. Thanks everybody again for watching. Next Tuesday, fingers crossed, everything works out. We'll be back and check out. Where's my one last time? I'll give you if I can get it back in the screen. To
there
get
we
this
go.
magic demon stump.
Magic demon stuff. We'll be
The
rating
whole.
the autos, by the way.
Oh, look at that! Oh,
Oh,
that was a tease right there.
it was a
Boom.
tease. Dang it.
Oh, so
Wow.
anybody that was
Huh.
paying attention,
I don't
boom,
think
there you go.
so.
A couple little things there.
We're just gonna rewind the VOD.
Yeah, yeah. VOD. I like saying VOD.
Do
You know what VOD means, Jason?
Uh, Video on demand. I believe
Yeah,
Rhonda Bender
yeah,
told us that.
yeah. She taught us that. All right, we really got to go now.
All right.
See you guys.
Start
Look at
this
that.
raid.
That's a better stump. The stump on the right is a real stump. Stump on the top left is more of a disaster.
Oh, here
But
comes that
see you
wonderful
guys.
music.
Thank you guys very much
Yes,
for watching.
that's world-class music right there.
Thank you guys. We'll see you
Bye,
later.
everybody.
Say hello to the otters for us.
Oh.